What's up, Crashed It Nation? This is Jonathan Wood. This is episode number 4 on the Crashed It podcast. And joining me today, we got James the Fireball Fisher. James, thanks for joining in.
Thank you for having me.
And we already had our first comment right off the bat. Kyle Wardhausen with All American Racing. First, I win. He even beat me to it, and I was trying to really get on there. So, but I've had a lot of people over the years. They ask me, for a lot of you guys that are just tuning into this episode, or maybe you follow along, know that I'm an announcer, and I like to give a lot of people nicknames. And James had a special nickname for me from years ago. I kind of gave him this one because of what happened on the track. I was actually in this, I think it was a heat or a consolation race, but I know it was me, Booth, I think Bish was in it. And basically, I'm going to show you, that's what his car looked like. And he left like a trail of fire on the track. This was at California, Missouri. And I know you've been on here before, James, but kind of enlighten people the feeling that had to be going through your head, or the thoughts during this, this event on the track.
So when I come around, I don't really know what caused the fire still today. I mean, it was just a combination of not having an upward header, and I know it was leaking oil. I know the car was loading up on fuel real bad, and I believe it just blew out the oil pan. But when I come around that corner, I seen it woof up, but I was like, I didn't know it was me. I kind of turned my head and looked back the other way, and by the time I was like, oh, that's me. That's not good. I was already undoing my seatbelt and heading for the pit gate at the other end, and yeah, it just followed me the whole way there. And I remember, I believe it was Gary or somebody come running out onto the track as I was still coming in, and I was trying to climb out the window, car moving, on fire. It's quite the ordeal.
Yeah, it was crazy. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was actually coming out of that other turn, and I come around the corner. You were smoking really bad right before this, and then I came around that far tire from the image, and all I see is the trail of fire, and I was like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah, I think right when I was crossing the center, Nate or somebody come through and just drove like straight through the fire.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Nate.
Yeah, I believe it was.
Someone wants to know how the roads are.
Yeah, that would be my aunt. There's a whole backstory to that, but it involves lake area happenings.
Oh gosh. So tell everybody how you got your number. It's the number 64. How'd that come about?
So 64 just started with the car that I originally chose. I was kind of the odd duck. I mean, back then it was just whatever everybody brought. And I started with it was actually an Eagle Talon, a front wheel drive. It was a turbo car that I'd parted out, and that's where the red and black come from as well. I'd sold the front clip off the car, the whole 9 yards. And the number 64 come from the motor, because I put a non-turbo 4G64 motor in it, and we spray painted the number 64. I think it actually had 4G64 on the car, spray painted on it. But when we decided to figure 8 race, we just had that motor laying there, and I parted out several of those cars, and I had some old crappy red fenders and doors, and I threw red fenders, doors, and a hood on it, and it was a black shell. So that's where the red and black come from as well.
Yeah, and that's been that car that was even on fire was red and black. I didn't remember it being red and black until just when I went back looking for videos, and I actually found one.
Yeah.
Of the happening. and it was a red and black car. I said, "Holy crap! He's had red and black all the way back."
All the way through. I think I've only showed up to a race with a car unpainted once.
Yeah. Well, you're red and black in that, but every now and then we see a checkered flag paint job on a derby car. So
Yeah, that was a spur of the moment. Everybody asked me, "What are you gonna paint it?" And I was like, "I don't know. I just grabbed a can of black. That's what I had sitting there, and just started spray painting checkers on it." It's like that'll work.
So let's talk about last year before we get into all the things that you've been doing this year, which is a bunch already. But so last year, was that your? I know in the years past you've kind of dipped your toes into like the end of the season derbies, but was that your first time actually bringing a derby car?
Versailles, yeah, Versailles. I brought that Trailblazer to the MWFA, and we didn't do anything to. We moved the battery and put the driver door bar in, and that Trailblazer was crashed beforehand. It's something that sat in my junkyard for about a year already. It didn't have a radiator in it. The kid had hit a tree and all sorts of stuff with it, so it was pretty messed up from the get go. And I was like, well, the MWFA class, what better car to run in that than that thing? So that was my first actual derby.
Yeah, and it was fun to watch you out there. You were driving back and forth and making some pretty good hits, but the track seemed to be a little slick for that thing, and it looked like you were kind of having a hard time getting around in that. But
yeah, I mean, no one, just a little bit more. Like I said, it was kind of a spur of the moment deal. The front tires were big stock size tires, and when they got popped, that thing would not push them. They were just pushing and sliding, and it got me stuck pretty fast. That's what ended up taking me out of that derby, is I got stuck.
And how'd your figure eight season go last year? A lot of people that just follow the podcast didn't really get to hear about how you parted ways with the Cobalt until the beginning of this year. We kind of talked about how Colt was jumping in that because Jacob was the lucky winner on that one. But
yeah, well, last year's figure eight season, I don't think a lot of people believed me. I told them I wasn't running points. I mean, we just had a lot of other stuff to do throughout the year, and we had a couple of vacations to go on, and so I'd kind of fought issues with that Cobalt. It wasn't nothing crazy. The first year was axles, and then last year I'd had that pretty well situated, but just the given with it, what all I'd went through with it the year before, I was kind of at that point. I was just kind of over it, and I believe it was Russellville. The transmission went out, and I was at that point. I was done with it. I was like, I'm fixing it, and it's going for sale, and that's when I decided to waffle it off. I fixed it, and I didn't even run it after that. Everybody thought I was going to bring it and run it some more, and I was like, not a chance. I want somebody else to have this car.
yeah.
And I sure miss it already. I mean, the difference between that and the stock Cavalier's a world of difference.
Oh, I'm sure. Jacob said I jumped in that freaking car, and he couldn't believe the power that thing had. He said, there ain't no way in hell Colt's controlling this car.
Yeah, he told me it was fast. He said they didn't really drive it until just before season started there, and yeah, he wants one.
Yeah, I bet. Heck, I want to drive it.
Yeah, it's a blast.
But well, we talked about last year a little bit, and man, this year you've been busy already. I mean, you started your year. We went and followed you right down to Capital City Carnage.
Yeah, I got talked into that one. We went last year to watch, and it was a blast to watch last year. And I said if we all went back out to go again, I'll probably take a car along with the other group of guys. And sure enough, everybody's like, "Oh, you going to Carnage?" I was like, well, "I guess I better get to hunting a car." So yeah, we went down there. Didn't quite get the outcome we wanted, but hey, it worked. We'll probably go back next year.
Yeah. And then, so just take us through that whole experience when you were out at Capital City Carnage. You've been out there to watch and you've been out there to run. How's it feel going through that tunnel the first time?
I really thought I was going to be super nervous because, I mean, I'm a figure eight driver. I'm not a derby driver. I'm just dabbling here and there. But entering a figure eight track, nerves never get me. And I thought for sure going through that tunnel, I was going to be nerve wracked, and it really didn't hit me. It felt awesome going through there and just looking out and seeing all the people, but the nerves never got me. I never got the jitters or real shaky. I was ready to go.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. And I've heard all kinds of different, experiences out there. And did tech go pretty good for you, or did you learn something that with the way the cars are built down there?
Yeah, yeah. There's things I'll do different when I go back this next year. I kind of knew there was a few things they were gonna ping me on, but uh, we just went with it. And yeah, I mean, I had to go back and make a few changes. The the one thing I really wished I'd changed was my wheel and tire setup, but we didn't. We had some pretty terrible weather right before Carnage, and I really didn't learn what I'd learned about the car until about a week before, so I didn't have time to correct it. So
Thanks for joining us, Ernest Beach, saying hey. Well, how did opening night go for you at the figure eight?
it went pretty all right. I mean, I'd pulled the car out about a month before opening night, and I brought it down, and I didn't want to work on the car. I thought the car was good to go. I mean, I put it up good to go, or at least I'd thought, and brought it down, cleaned it out, and I'd noticed there was water in the oil the night before we our season started, and flushed it a couple times, and it just kept coming back. So I had to do a head gasket job on it the night before the race, and when we got there, I brought V treads. It wasn't my ideal tire, but the car just didn't really want to hook up, but it did all right. I got in the heat. I felt like we were running a pretty good heat. It was spinning a lot coming out of the corners. I couldn't really get grip and go. Old Jordan let me know that he was running off and leaving me. And anyway, somebody else come along. I don't know who it was. Little silver car. They give me the old spin maneuver, and I corrected myself there and come back and still finish second.
Yeah, that was a good little reverse move that you had over there. But,
yeah, I felt him hooking me right when we were coming into the corner, and I kind of just turned and looked, and I mean, I don't know if you've watched my in car, but I was switching to reverse before he had even had me around. So,
oh yeah, I watched the in car of that one.
yeah,
We're still wait. I think everybody in America is waiting for the in car from Lebanon on Saturday night.
yeah, I left my GoPro running in the car after the fact, so it added on about another 30 minutes of film. So I got to figure out how to edit and cut it down some more.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm ready to get that out too.
man, I can't wait because I got Jacobs and Joshua's all ready to go, but I'm just kind of giving it a little bit because I kind of get a kick out of watching them in-car cameras. And man,
yeah.
I had these cameras. You could see pretty much everything on these. They're positioned very well on this Lebanon Derby, and I mean, you could see them eyeing down their next person or seeing the hit coming and kind of bracing for it, and all of the above. I can't wait to release these, but man, So you showed up to Lebanon, Missouri on Saturday night, and boy, I'm telling you guys, it was a. What'd you think of Lebanon?
It was pretty good. It was a pretty good show. It wasn't quite. I thought there was going to be a few more cars there. There wasn't, but hey, I mean, it was still a good turnout. I thought nice little facility, and tech took a little while, but other than that, I mean, tech was easy. They checked the car over, and I'd talked to the techs before I went. It was a Carnage built car, obviously, so uh, they worked with me on that stuff, told me what I could and couldn't do, and what I had to change. But made a few changes to the car, mostly the wheel and tires. That's what got me in trouble in Carnage. But yeah, it was a good event center. I liked it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've been to Lebanon probably, probably the last 5 years I've been down there.
Yeah.
And I got to say, the track this year, them guys did an awesome job on it.
I was curious with our weather and how the dirt was going to turn out, but it was nice and tight.
Oh, me too, because you can ask Jacob, you could drive by there and see the dirt just piled up outside the event center, no tarp or nothing, and we're going, there's no way this track's holding up. And I thought, I even said it last week on the podcast, I'm going to be shocked if it holds up, but I talked to them guys and they said they brought it in, layers at a time and let it dry out, and then brought in another load, They layered it, and it worked out really good for them. And I walked out there before the track, and I was still nervous because, before the event, I walked on the track and it felt spongy still, but boy, it held up really well. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm no track expert, but it made for a great night of Demolition Derby on all fronts. I mean, that show was from start to finish a really good show to be at, to watch, and it looked really fun to drive in. So
yeah, it was a fun track for sure.
So what kind of car were you driving this year right here?
It's a 01 Camry.
01 Camry. And did you have any harness or anything extra in it, or is it just straight?
Yeah, I did my own, not really a simplified. They kind of have a power adapter harness essentially, but yeah, I put my own power adapter in it and wired it all for myself on the inside.
Yeah, and I knew you were good with that electronic, all the wiring and stuff, and that's something, it's kind of hard to find them harnesses and stuff like that for the Camrys. I know there's a guy up north that makes them, but that's something I'd be looking into, because I was trying to win another Camry off my brother's waffle, but I never get lucky on them damn things.
Yeah.
Frank Brenton was the lucky one this week.
Yeah, I think that.
But
I got another fresh one sitting there. Just waiting.
That's good. So tell everybody how it went. Like, walk us through your run.
I started out kind of slow, just trying to feel everybody out. Right off the rip, I hear wide open throttle, and I see Kurt zing right past me and plant the car that was parked right beside me. And I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to take off forward and kind of find my way. And I went out and just kind of bumped around a little bit, trying to feel everybody out, and made a few shots, and it was going pretty smooth for the most part, I thought, anyway. Then I took one backward shot there. It was probably just a couple minutes in, and all of a sudden the car just started screaming, and I was like, "Uh-oh!" I looked down. The throttle pedal poked through a hole in the floor where there's supposed to be a cover plate, which was there. It just popped out, and that pedal had stuck in the floor wide open. And I kind of slightly panicked. I'd run. I mean, you can see me in the video there. I'm off in the back. I was trying to get the throttle pedal unjammed out of the floor.
Yeah.
And I finally got it dislodged and run around a little bit, and it wasn't a one hit later. It was just stuck right back in the floor again. Every hit I took, that thing stuck in the floor, and I had to reach all the way down. And my seats in that car was originally a power seat, so it won't move forward or backwards. So I was having to lean way down in there and reach for that thing. It wasn't fun.
Yeah. Exactly what Kyle just said.
Yeah.
Yeah. For those that are going to be listening to this and not really watching the video, Kyle Ordenhausen said that's how you know you had your foot through the floor, when you shove the pedal through it, literally. And man, it was an entertaining derby to watch, because it seemed like, to me, everybody knows everybody that's out there pretty much.
Yeah.
Kurt tried taking out the only two people I don't think everybody knew right off the bat and one shot. He hit both cars. If you watch that video, he planted that first car and went right into the second guy.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then Jacob took care of him later on in the derby.
Yep. I had a front row seat to that one.
Yeah. I got one too, just by the GoPro.
Yeah.
I had to put that one out. I said, "Oh man, you see Joshua two-wheeling it, and then Jacob comes screaming by him and smokes."
I was lining up for the hit myself, and Joshua caught my eye when he was up on two wheels, and I was more focused on him, and I just tried to continue on with the hit, and I look over, and here comes Jacob in hot, and I was like, "Oh boy, that looked like that one hurt." I did not. There ain't no chance I'd want to have been on the receiving end of that one. I watched that front end go all the way to the gas tank.
Yeah, and Jacob,
For the
I was
protection.
talking to him, and he said, "Boy, they're lucky my ground came off, because I was just getting ready to really turn it up a notch." And
yeah, I could
it
tell.
would have been fun, but he was actually talking to him the next day. He said, "Man, if Joshua wouldn't about rolled in my face, I'd have really been all up in that guy. He had to let off. You can hear him when he rounds this corner up here. He had to let off, and it kind of really slowed his momentum down. But boy, he'd have been really screaming if Joshua wouldn't have been on two wheels, because he didn't want to hit him. He thought he was going over. So
yeah."
So what'd you think about Joshua coming around here and giving you a pretty good shot?
Yeah, he got me good. It was a good hit. We were doing the whole roundy round thing there for about a lap or so, and I glanced off over to the other side, and that's my throttle pedal had stuck again, and I was like, I can't sit here and play the roundy rounds with the stuck throttle. So I was going to dip out and go over there and kind of push off behind those other guys and dislodge the throttle. But when you're trying to fight the throttle with the brakes, it don't always work. I come out and kind of nosed out a little too far trying to fight that thing, and he put it on me. And I knew then, I was like, I watched everything go to the right. And I was like, oh, okay, I don't have much time left at this point.
Well, while you were talking, I was sitting there calculating everybody's lap time, and you did have the fastest lap around that little group of cars. I'll give you that. But yeah, here's that hit. Joshua, seeing you sneaking around the corner, and boy, I was shocked to see you go after that one, because he was right on that tire, and it kept on there though.
Oh yeah, he almost ended it for me. That's the subframe come up and hit the shift linkage, and I sat there for a minute. I fought that car to get in reverse. It just, once those subframes come up on those things, they're not gonna shift back to park or reverse, and it just barely got reversed. It felt like I was having to smash that shifter into reverse to get it to go.
Yeah, that thing kept on going for you though. And here in a second, we're going to get to see an awesome hit put on by you. It's right here. You had a full lap. I mean, you ran all the way around that track and come flying back and smoked Kurt. And you were probably, I want to say, about 3 inches from a really good hit, like devastation.
Yeah, I'd imagine Kurt's experience. He's seen me coming. He was moving when I was at the other end, and I think about midway or a little more. I think he judged that, and he knew to stop because I was lined up perfect. I was aiming for that wheel and bumper, and I ended up catching that pillar. And yeah, that sealed the deal for that car.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about. So how's the foot?
It's definitely broken. It's pretty swollen and purple. I was trying to ride the brakes in a little bit, like I wanted a good hit.
Did it happen on that hit then?
Yes, it did. Yeah, I was because the throttle was stuck again, and when I come around, I was like, I knew being pinned up between Troy and Kurt, I was like, man, I'm gonna have to do something here. And when I come back around that other side and seen Kurt was still down there, I was like, all right, you're getting it, buddy. And about halfway, I thought, boy, I'm really moving here. So I started to ride the brakes a little bit because I don't want to hurt nobody. So I kind of put my foot up on the brake pedal. Normally, I kind of pull my feet back, but yeah, I put my foot on the pedal and kind of rode it in, and yeah, my foot come right off that pedal and planted in the floor when we hit. So,
man, yeah, that's crazy. And to be there in live, I mean, videos do not do any hit justice. And when you're there live and you see, I mean, you were screaming across the track. And if you watched the whole Derby, you ended up getting a well-deserved Mad Dog. You'd have been my vote as well for the Mad Dog on this night for sure. And so well-deserved Mad Dog. How's that feel?
Pretty good. Pretty good. That's
minus the broken foot. No one, we hate to hear anyone get, hurt.
Yeah, I mean that's part of it, though. I mean, we all know climbing into a car, you just never know what could happen. So, I mean, it's not the most ideal thing, but it could have been worse, could have been better. That's just the way it worked.
Well, let me just find something. You left the door wide open to run right into this. Let's see here. Describe it. So, first of all, describe what we're looking at here.
So that is my water bottle that I had in the car. I think I'd tuck them right beside the driver's seat, and that's my channel locks. They were for tightening up the battery cables before we'd went out. I wanted to make sure they were good and snug, and I'd stuck them right there somewhere in the vicinity. But for whatever reason and however, they ended up jammed through the lid of my water bottle. After that Derby was over, Kurt hopped out and come running up to me, and we were talking, and I'd look down. I was like, boy, I could really use a drink. And I grabbed that bottle up, and there was my channel locks jammed through it. I was dying of thirst. I still took a drink of it. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah. And it's crazy to me. Once you sent this to me and started talking to me, I'm thinking, how many Derby car drivers have I seen, carrying around channel locks or vice grips or something to mess, or, dikes to mess with their wiring?
Mm-hmm.
Because I haven't posted Jacob's video yet, but the second he hits that guy and his car dies out, he lost power to everything.
Yeah.
And the first thing he does is he's sitting there messing with a switch box. Well, he's getting nothing. He checks his battery, makes sure that's all tightened up. And then you just start seeing him ripping wires out of the switch box. He thought the switch box had failed.
Yeah.
So he was trying to get, he was desperately trying. And I'm thinking, how many drivers have some kind of channel locks, vice grips, dikes, anything like that in their car? And you see all these people. Henry Ray got on here and said you have his vote. He makes battery boxes and stuff. And I'm just wondering if he's ever thought about putting a little compartment right next to the, that would hold channel locks or something like that. I've never seen any designs that for anyone to slide a little tool in. But man,
Right.
that's crazy just seeing that thing went right through the lid of that water bottle. I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, well, what made me think too, seeing that, it made me think about a place to put tools. Because I mean, it made its way into a water bottle. You never know. I mean, that could stick you in the leg or something too, potentially. I mean, you never know. I
Yeah.
thought that was the first thing that went through my mind when I picked that up out of the car. I'm like, well, I'm glad that wasn't sticking in my leg instead.
I don't know if I'd been worried about as much about my foot then.
Yeah.
Joe Fisher. FFR is all on IR, baby.
Yeah.
That is crazy. Yeah, your brother, he had a heck of a go at Russellville for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. He got pretty beat up. I think he needs to retire that old car and do something a little different.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was interesting. That's crazy. It's crazy of all the stuff that could happen. Put myself on mute this time. Oh,
There we are.
what's going on? Hold on just a second. I'm going to change this. All right, whatever. No, I'm not. I was. I don't know what the hell's going on. There we go. Yeah, it's just crazy all the different stuff that could happen out there that you would never think of.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's kind of like that's a tornado moment. Like just what's the force of? I mean, wasn't the rubber handle on that thing when it went through?
Yes. Yeah. The,
Yeah, I was
the
gonna
rubber,
say.
rubber handle was on it, and the rubber handle just somehow ended up in the bottle. I'm like, how's that even work?
Oh, that's pretty good idea. He welds in a nut and a bolt. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
But so with the foot, is that going to put you out the rest of the year? Or are you going to be able to jump back into something later on this year? Or
Oh, I'll be in
how's
the
that affect?
field.
Well, I didn't even know you had a broken foot. And I seen you kind of hobbling around, I was like, dang, his leg's probably hurting him or something. I'm thinking you bumped your knee or something on the dash, or I was like, and then that's when I walked over there and you're like, yeah, I think I broke my foot. So I
Yeah.
was like, oh, shoot.
Yeah. I've snapped a few bones. I can pretty well tell. That's when I hopped out of that car. I was standing there talking to Kurt, and I kind of stepped a little funny, and I was like, that kind of hurt. And I'm like, I might have broke my foot. And I think he just looked at me like, what? But yeah, no, I don't know. I'm kind of hard headed, I guess. We got New Bloomfield in a couple weeks, and I'm sure it'll be good enough to run up there. So
Nothing keeping you down. Jake Timbrook, driver for hire. Hey, Henry Ray had a few of them this weekend.
yeah,
A few driver for hires.
yeah,
I walk up there and Justin Quincy's up there and he goes, yep, I'm just a driver for hire this week. That's all Henry stuff. I'm just hope I don't tear it up too bad. And he goes out there in the heat and just sends it right off the rip. I loved it.
oh yeah. I'd say it was pretty rough going home. Yeah, he centered pretty good.
Yeah, he did. And And I was, Dallas Hardy ran his other car, but it was just a shell when Dallas had it. He put his stuff in it, like his motor and training and stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought he ran pretty good for considering what he was up against in the feature. But it brings it all back to what's Derby and all about. And right here we got a picture. It looks, it's all about the family and making memories together. And
Yep.
Is that your little boy?
Yeah, that's both of them, Evan and Ellis.
Oh, both Evan and what's the other?
Ellis.
Colin? Okay. What do they think? Were they there?
No, they were at home with Grandma, but they were kind of wondering about my big fancy space boot that I come home with on Sunday. So
What's the wife think of that?
she hadn't given me too much grief about it. I know some others probably wouldn't be too happy, but yeah, she hadn't given me too much grief about it. She hadn't told me no more derbies, so.
Well, right on. She was there, right?
Yeah, she was there.
I thought I seen her wandering around and stuff.
Yeah.
She had to be just ecstatic watching you send that thing to the moon, though.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I looked around. First of all, I got to thank John Waller. So and Vince McGee. I get there and Vince hands me a pit pass. He said, I don't need this. So here, just take my pit pass. So he gave me his pit pass. And then I'm walking in and John Waller, I'm like trying to find a spot to record from. And John Waller's got like right in the middle of the whole freaking like pit pass area, dead center of the bleachers at the top. He's like, got your spot reserved for best video camera angle on the whole place. And I said, I would have to agree with you. So I took him up on that.
Yeah.
And just watching you send it, for me, that was awesome. Because, I mean, you made straight junk out there, and that's what everybody wants to see. And I looked around behind me after you made that hit, and I'm telling you, there wasn't a single person sitting down. I had a little, probably 3 to 4 year old boy sitting next to me, and that kid was doing the Hulk smash hands, and he loved every second of it.
Yeah, that's what makes it fun right there.
Yeah, he tapped me on the shoulder. He said, "Can I watch that again?" After the Derby, I said, "Hold on, I'll pull it right back up for you." So, and then when I went back up there, I had my GoPros with me. I said, "You want to see some in-car cameras?" And he thought that was just the coolest thing.
Oh yeah,
that little boy was having a night, man. And I think it was his grandma that was sitting next to me. She was spoiling him. He had Mad Dog shirts. He had them fancy headphones they were selling. He had it all.
oh
He
yeah.
went to the concession stand 5 times. It reminded me of Colt up there. I said, "Man, this is loving this." Yeah, when that guy rolled, I seen Colt walking in. I said, "Did you see that guy roll over?" And he goes, "No, I was eating food with Nanny and Poppy." I missed it, so I had to show him the video. But so you have a family that supports you, and that's the very first foundation of anyone that's going to continue on in this sport. There's also another part of this, and do you have any sponsors or anybody out there you want to thank for helping you out any?
Oh yeah, all the family, wife, kids, dad, mom. I mean, all our friends that come over and whatnot. And then as far as legitimate sponsors go, we got Larry's Transmission over in Cole Camp. Chris and Larry, they're awesome. Shannon's the crafting corner at Shannon, Alan's wife, and we have Holdfast Marinas. That's my brother's boss, Doug. They all do us real well. And then we had some other sponsors on that car. For Carnage, like Caleb's Tree Service, and we had a handful of people donate. We did an in memory theme on that car, and people just donated, and we put some names on the hood and stuff. And it was really meant to be sent out once at Carnage, and it was kind of disappointing that it broke early. So that car was not going to come home usable after Lebanon. Its purpose was to get junked, and it was going to get junked.
And I knew that was going to be a wild show because I was walking around talking to people, and they're like, "Yeah, we got to get our stuff out of this car." I was like, "Yeah, I love it," and I didn't tell them. Yeah, the last 5 guys told me the same thing. So,
Yeah.
But let's talk about building conditions. Last week I kind of talked with Baby Shark about how other everyone has different elements that they build in and atmospheres that they build in, and a lot of people probably don't know about your building. Like, where do you build your cars at?
So most of them are built right there where you're looking at. There's small concrete pad in the driveway up at the top of the hill by the shed, and they're built right there or on the other side of the shed. That now during the winter, I'll work on and off if we got a decent day or something. I got a Trans Am that occupies my only enclosed space, and that thing's been sitting in there for years, so I can't pull it out just to work on a figure 8 car or derby car or whatever. But I did have actually the Larry's transmission. My friend Chris, he offered me up his garage this winter to come over there and finish up the Carnage car. So we were just a couple weeks out, and he did the transmission for it and let me use his garage as well to finish everything up. But 90% cool. Of the time, it's right there where you're looking at.
Yeah. And I was going to say, I've seen some of your builds, and I've seen builds that are all across the country. And for someone that sits out there in the weather and builds cars, you do a really good job building your stuff. And a lot of people don't know what your cage material is made out of. This is not regular steel.
Yeah.
What do you use?
There's a lot of it that's leftovers from our sponsor. It's dock material. There's a lot of galvanized 2x2. Just hit it with the old flap disc, get all the galvanized off, and just weld her up.
Yeah, so everybody that's listening, this guy builds on a concrete pad using galvanized steel that you have to grind down before you weld it in. If that doesn't say passion, I don't know what will. I mean, anyone that's tried to weld galvanized steel and just to see all the work that you put into things, I mean, that is passion and commitment is what that is.
Yeah, I sure wouldn't want to weld that stuff inside. That's that's one of those deals. I mean, you could grind it all you want, but I believe there's still some coating on the insides. When you're burning that stuff, it's pretty nasty. It's yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I didn't even think
we had so many feet of it that I mean, I couldn't just let it go to waste. So we've built like 4 cars on what we had sitting there so far.
That's crazy. Jared Snurch. So as Tracy said, you both need to finish your 3rd gens to free up shop space.
Yeah, I need to find a sponsor to finish that car.
Yeah.
that one's my baby. It's going to take a while to finish that car.
Yeah. Well, we hope to see you at New Bloomfield. You got anything else you want to touch on before we get you out of here?
I pretty well covered it all the Derby stuff. Well, I guess when we were talking Derby, we did miss New championship night last year, Fulton. That's where I finished off the Trailblazer.
Yeah.
I ran it twice. I ran it in Versailles during the MWFA, and then I ran it in up in Fulton.
Yep, the gut and go or whatever you want to call it. At that time, it was more of a hobo build, but
Yeah. That's. I think everybody looked at me like I was crazy that I was bringing it up there against plated and built cars, but I wanted to finish it off. It only lasted so long over in Versailles, and it still ran. I put a tie rod on it and some smaller tires on the front so it'd push it around a little better. And
how'd that work out for you?
it worked out halfway all right. That thing, I don't know. I like the Trailblazer, but that thing was, like I said, it was bone stock. That's if it had a welded rear diff or something. Driving a rear wheel drive is a whole lot different than the front wheel drive. That thing would whip around, and I was money driving that thing too. It was gonna blow or go. It was one or the other, and I think I got third in it with it as well, but it blew up. It was showing no oil pressure and as hot as it could get about 3 minutes into that derby. So I never lift shifted that thing the whole time. I never knew a 4L60 could do that, let alone the 4200 off the rev limiter the whole time. That's everybody gave me grief about that, running that thing like that, but I didn't. I expected it to blow up pretty quick, so I was running it flat out for everything it could do, and it just lasted a lot longer than I thought it would.
Yeah, I thought you did pretty good in it, considering the amount of cars that were out there and the types of vehicles that were out there. You know, I kind of got surprised on how that Derby went, actually.
Yeah.
I had it in my head. I had it playing out way different than it did. And I seen a couple people that took some wonky shots right off the beginning that I thought were going to be there at the end. And man, it just, you never know who's going to show up to a Derby. You never know, how it's going to go the second that flag gets dropped. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. And that's Joshua's favorite saying, and I had to take it from him since he wasn't on here to say it himself. So
I went to Carnage with a full plan and or at least an idea of what I was going to do, and I went about 2 minutes before my car was broke, so I never even got to make one really good hit. So I just try not to make plans. That's easier that way.
Yeah, don't make plans on the Derby track. Just go out there and make something happen.
Oh yeah.
Make the people that are planning something change their plans real quick. That's what I like to see happen out there.
Yeah, that's how I went in going into Lebanon. I didn't make a plan. Everybody's asking me, "What are you gonna do? What are you gonna?" I'm just gonna go drive it.
Yeah, whatever. We'll see.
Yeah, I've watched. Like I said, I'm not a Derby guy. I watched your brothers and Kurt and all these guys do this for years, and I picked most of my stuff from their videos. I just try to play it how they would, or at least I thought I was. And maybe that's what got me down there to third. I don't know, but
just go out there and drove a hell of a Derby. That's what happened.
Do what?
So you just drove a hell of a Derby. That's what happened.
Yeah.
All these people just want your autograph.
There was actually a kid that come up to us at the end of Lebanon. He had somebody's Mad Dog sign or something, and he had probably 20 or 30 signatures on it already. And he asked me if he could get my signature, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's." We sat there and we told, signed it of course, but we told them about some of the shows around, and they were kind of intrigued about maybe coming up and watching some figure eight and stuff. They'd never watched derbies or anything before, so
yeah. It's I make these reels and I see all kinds of crazy comments, and then you got those people that appreciate everything they just seen, and sometimes it's people that's never seen any kind of high speed contact hit other than like a car crash, and they're like, "Whoa, what is this? This is a sport?"
Yeah.
And, it's the hits that people that full send it. Those are the ones that I make videos of and send them out there to people because that's what they want to watch.
Oh yeah, like I said, I knew my car was on its outs after Joshua did what he did to me. So I knew it was my minutes were numbered at that point. So I was like, if it's going out, it's going out good.
Yeah, what took him out, I don't know if you talked to him, but his frame rail pushed all the way into his crank when he hit you.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he shoved me over pretty good. I noticed. I watched everything. Like I said, everything shifted to the right, and I was like, okay, I could have maybe played it smart and used the back of the car a little bit after that, but like I said, I wasn't bringing that car home good. It was getting junk. So,
well, we thank you for coming on the podcast and being another guest on here. We appreciate you. We hope that your foot gets better. We never want to see anyone getting hurt out there, but I just got to thank you for the fans out there. Thanks for putting on a show. That was awesome to watch.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate being on, having us back.
Yep. It's always great to catch up, and hopefully we see you at a show soon, but we understand if you have to take some time off because everyone's got to go to work, man.
New Bloomfield was my track last year, I think.
You've already done what?
Or that was the year before, but yeah.
You're getting corrected now.
Yeah. We already had wagers on somebody's thrown out names for who's winning, and I feel like that's bad luck, but I was thrown out there. I was like, oh, come on, guys. I just want to go run my race.
Yeah. Hey, but I picked you at the show to come back and win that race. So
yeah.
We don't ever actually bet money, but it's fun just to pick someone that we think's going to win.
Oh, yeah. It was fun starting all the way from the back to make it back to first.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on. I've got a few things to go over with everybody before we finish this one up. And you can either stick around in the background or leave. But like I said, thanks for coming on, man.
Yep, appreciate it.
Well, that was James the Fireball Fisher, fresh off his Mad Dog performance there in Lebanon, Missouri. And boy, that was a fun show to be at. Just before I get into the recapping of that show, just for everybody to know, last week I mentioned that I was going to have a giveaway, that we were going to tell you the rules on the podcast. So what I'm going to do, this first giveaway is going to be just $25. I'll send it to you, Venmo, Cash at a Show, whatever way you want it. If you comment, I'm going to give everybody until the end of tomorrow. So tomorrow night is when I'm going to lock in whoever's commented on this. Just comment giveaway, and you'll be entered into the drawing. All you have to do is comment giveaway on this stream, and you'll be locked in for a free $25. That's just a first giveaway. It's a small giveaway, but we're going to start there. Appreciate everybody that's followed us along this far into it and continues to support our channel and the podcast. It's been really fun. It's been a fun year to get back into this podcast and to kind of get back into touch with all you guys at the shows and stuff. And man, the YouTube channel and the Facebook page, the TikTok pages, they're all, they're all doing really well for me. And it's all because of you guys. It's because of everything that you guys do. I can drive the show and take the videos and stuff, but it's the drivers on the track that put on the show. And it's the people that share it away when it goes up on social media. I couldn't do it without you guys. So comment giveaway on here between now and midnight on April 30th to be entered in for the giveaway. But so we were in Lebanon. It was a Mad Dog Demolition Derby. It was promoted by 143 Promotions. And just to kind of run down the heats, Heat 1 came on the track. It was really good to see Tommy Stark back in a car. And he drove his way to being one of the Heat 1 transfers. They took 4 cars out of each heat to go into the features in the street stocks. Tommy Stark was one of them. Austin Pfeiffer was the second one. And let's talk about Dino Fisher. Dino Fisher was, yes, I love it. Dino Fisher, he put on a show. You know, I could make reels all day long off of just him going out there. If you go back and watch Heat 1 from the Mad Dog Derby, he junked out 3 cars basically by himself or took them out of that derby. And hats off to you, Mr. Fisher. Way to put it on. And Randy Moore was your last transfer in that Heat 1. Heat 2 came out right off the rip. Justin Quincy comes down there and puts a hell of a shot on a guy. And Teddy Papalopoulos and Dawson just followed him in, and it made for an awesome, scenario and synopsis of hits. Shout out to Vince McGee. He drove a really smart derby. I haven't seen him drive like that in a while. He put on some really good shots. When the 44, when the 45 shot was there, he took it, and he put 2 frame rails to 1, and it paid off very good for him. I talked to him after the derby. He was running the carburetor, and he didn't really like the carb setup. He said it kept flooding himself out, but all in all, he made the A, so that was really good for him. And Justin Quincy made it, limped it down in there. Teddy P and Trey Hewer were coming out of Heat 2. In Heat 3, we had Corey Luddington, and Terry Wood, Mark Holloway, and Rob Hewer come out of that. And man, there was a chain of events happened in Heat 3 that just put the crowd on their feet. And it was when a car got rolled over, and I believe Corey Luddington had something to do with that. I can't remember everybody that was involved in that hit, but it was awesome. The crowd's going on their feet, and I can't remember who was driving the trail car right off the top of my head, but the best part about it, and a lot of comments that we got on social media, was the excitement of the trail car. He's pumping his fist when that car gets rolled over, and especially you seen the concern of the drivers that were all involved, and once they seen everybody climb out and they were all right, they really got into it, and that's what it's all about. It's always fun to roll someone over, but we want to make sure they're okay. It's kind of a scary moment for a second, but everybody walked away, made it really good. In the Consi, Dallas Hardy, Mark Hinkle, CJ Lee, and Patrick Smith were the only ones that showed up. So those 4 got to move on to the A main. And then in the feature, we had Rob Hewer bringing home the win, Trey Hewer with second, third was Teddy P, and Mad Dog was Dino Fisher. Well-deserved Dino. I agree with that Mad Dog pick. Teddy P drove really good against when it was 2-on-1. He knew what was coming. He knew Trey and Rob were going to, fight it out to the end. When it come down to them 3, he was the odd man out. And to say that there was a pecking order in that street stock world feature, you could see it all happening on track. Everybody knew there was a pecking order, and when you get a bunch of experienced drivers out there who's been around the sport for years, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get drivers that are going to run together because they've been on the track together for a ton of time, and that's just how it goes. And there's a lot of I got a comment on here. Brody, yes, I will put a full video of the mowers out. I'm working on, so what I've got to do on the mower video, they were playing background music the whole entire time you guys were out there. So I've got to figure out how to cut that background music off so I don't, so it don't get taken off my channel the second I post it. So I'm working on that, Brody. Okay. In the bone stock full size, we had S36 of BJ Switzer bringing home the win, and I didn't see that one coming. It looked like he was having some axle problems in the back end, and I agree, Nathan. So it's so hard whenever you're trying to record a show for the people that are out on the track, putting on the show, and there's always some kind of background audio, and you're not allowed to post the video. But I'm working on it. I'll figure out something for that. But BJ Switzer, you did a heck of a job wheeling that thing with only one wheel, making power. And Travis Walters got second, Josh Elliott in third, and the Mad Dog was Josh Elliott. And I agree with that one too. 22E, he sent that. Bone Stock drivers, I'm very sorry I didn't catch your whole event. So I was outside and I did not hear you guys pull in the arena. And I get a text from John Waller that the show has started, and I'm outside still talking to drivers. So that is that's very hard, you know. I'm very sorry about that, not being able to make it back in the arena for your full show. Anytime and if anyone's on here and sees Nathan's comment about going live at the racetrack and the announcers play music, that everyone's asked me, why haven't I gone live? Like, why don't you go live? And the reason I don't go live is, one, the quality of the equipment I have. I'm a perfectionist when it comes. I want the best quality possible for the equipment I have. And that's the first reason. The second reason is right there. If someone plays music over the speakers while the race is going on, the derby's going on, whatever's going on, and I don't know how to mute it. First of all, I haven't learned how to do that. And second of all, if that goes through and I get a strike for, using other people's music without their permission, it kind of flags your channel. And I've been through that before at Lebanon 3 years ago. I went live for the first time for the first heat, and every video I put on that whole night got taken down due to copyright infringements. So that's why I don't go live. But a lot of you know that I am working on a workaround for that, but we will get into that when everything gets put into place for that. But for right now, that's why I don't go live. Back to the results. Sorry, I got off pace there. The lawnmowers, Tyler Lee getting first place. Tyler, you drove a heck of a mower derby. There wasn't much of them, but you guys all put on a show. Lonnie Lee in second, Dalton Emery in third. But, man, them mowers were pretty fun to watch this time, and you guys have to be so sore after the show. I don't know how you guys do it. I don't know how you guys on the mowers put up them hits. My back hurts just watching you guys come out on the arena, bouncing around like crazy, and then when the hits start happening, I'm like, no way. Thanks for joining in, Brody. Appreciate you. In the Bone Stock Compacts, Kurt Turpin brought home the win in Troy Mitchell's car. Yep. Troy Mitchell ran that car at Carnage, and Kurt jumps in it. Kurt jumped in it and brought home the win. Troy Mitchell was on his race, or on the way to Lucas Oil Speedway for the enduro race that we all were wanting to do, and they canceled it. Due to rain, and they canceled the event. So I will not get to do that this year. I wouldn't have been able to get, do it last week anyway because of the schedule. But, yep. So they canceled it and told everybody they're going to give their money back. So maybe next year. I know Jacob had his car already, and he was going to be there too the week before, but he planned on derbying this week. But James Fisher, who we had on, got third in Mad Dog. Congrats, bud. Heck of a show by all the drivers. For sure on this one. Great job to everyone. This week was the Deadman Derby. I think it was No Mercy is what they call it. And congrats to Steven Sickles bringing home the 10,000 to win. They have all their results posted on that. I'm not going to walk you all through that because it's boring. But, I did catch a little bit of that show. I watched Derbies of the Show Me State. They went live on their Facebook page for all the for the Derby that was in Vienna. There was a team Derby by Southern Crunch Promotions. I did catch up with that one and watched. When I first got on there, I was really worried because first of all, I didn't know it was a team Derby. And second of all, I didn't know that they were going to have a feature and put them all together. So I got on there and the track looked like a little square. So I got to talking to some people throughout the week and they're like, no, dude, they opened the track up. That was just for the heats. They made it really small. And, but in the team show, the 2-man stock, Jerry Ross, Jake Faust bringing home the win, Adam Fleming and Seth Mueller getting second, Jeremy White and Chris Barnwell getting third, Brad Whitley and Brandon Whitley getting fourth, Joe Clark and Bob Clark getting fifth, and Jeremy White and Chris Barnwell were the Mad Dogs. In the MWFA, Zach Schaefer bringing home the win, Noah Davis second, Andrew Henson third. Bringing home the Mad Dog was Noah Davis, so he got second and the Mad Dog. And they had mowers as well at Vienna, and maybe that's why there wasn't as many as we normally see at the mowers. But Chayton Reese got first, Charlie Johnson second, and Ryan Adams in third. Mad Dog was Terrell Johnson. So overall, it's a good show. From what I hear, I didn't get to watch it all. But once again, from Crashed It, I want to say thank you, each and every one of you guys, for joining us on another episode of Crashed It Podcast. Thanks for liking, subscribing, and just giving us support. Make sure you write giveaway in the comments of this video, either on Facebook or YouTube by midnight tomorrow. You'll be locked in. So as long as you get in by April 30th with your comment, you'll be locked in. I will go live and have some kind of drawing or something for the giveaway. I'll make sure that everybody's on there, and someone will be getting $25 free just for listening in. So like I said, once again, thank you all for, tuning in. Have a great night. Go out there and continue to send it and bend it. Thank you all for joining for another episode of the Crashed It Podcast.